Here's this week's cycle analysis as of August 15th. Taking a look at the charts, this is the SP 500 daily cycle analysis. As you can see here, we've got the pink cycle, which is the intermediate trend, that the main direction of the market. The gray cycle analysis shows a blend of some shorter term cycles in the market and some likely waves that will happen in equities. Now, overall, what the key here I want to point to is right now large cap stocks are still in a bull market. They've been consolidating for a couple of years. They're starting to make nominal multi-year highs up here, but overall the bias is still to the upside. And we are seeing signs of the market getting very exhausted and topping, but it has yet to show a breakdown in the large caps like SP 500 and Dow, NASDAQ. We have seen the leading indicators pull back and sell off and start bear markets, but of course the large caps have yet to do so. And what we're seeing in the cycle analysis is still a positive cycle skew, meaning when the cycle is moving up, we see these lines moving up, we see price move up quickly, and when the cycle is having a downward stroke, what we're seeing is just the market trade more or less sideways in a choppy direction until the intermediate cycle bottoms, and then we see the next leg to the upside. Now right now we're getting close. We're about at this point we're Friday is kind of the top here based on current cycle analysis. Friday could be the market top. We could see things continue to grind up and continue to get overextended here in the SP 500. And then we've got a downward move in the market. And it looks ripe for a pullback this week, or putting in a top potentially this week. But overall, we're still going to probably grind higher. Ideally, we'd like to see the VIX continue to fall and move down. It is trading up today, Monday morning, August 15th here, as the equities market actually moves up. I think a lot of people are starting to jump on board and start to pick a top. But we still have today, all the way till Friday, of the market potentially having an upward bias. And I think people getting short today, which you can tell with the fear index, with the VIX being up, is a sign that people are jumping a little early, and we might see the market continue to squeeze a little bit higher before we get some sharp crack to the downside and potentially start the next multi-week kind of pullback in equities. Now, if we take a look at crude oil, here is a chart of crude oil. And you can see here, overall, we had a double bottom over here, and we had a strong rally up and a big cycle down. And instead of a big drop in crude oil, it just kind of pulled back, very strong bull flag formation, kind of pulled back into support into these previous highs, right into this consolidation over here. And then, of course, we've seen the market continue to move higher. Now it's kind of rotated over, has been selling to the downside. And it looks as though we might see the crude oil find top and resistance here. You can see cycles topped out more or less the last trading session, which was Friday. And it looks as though we're going to have some downward bias. Now, price here is also in kind of a resistance zone. If we were to just look right through this current price, right across here, we've got a lot of resistance. We've got a big consolidation here. We've got several pivot lows, a little bit higher of a level over here, but we've got right through this consolidation before the market broke down here. So we've kind of come back up. We're testing resistance. We do have cycles. They topped out on Friday, so I think we might see a little bit of a squeeze higher here. And we talked about this last week, that the 44 to 46 area is going to be kind of a key resistance zone, a reaction high back up to this level to test resistance. And then we might see crude oil continue to flounder, put in a double bottom here, or potentially continue to really kind of a washout and move down into the mid 30s. So that's where we're at this point for crude oil. Now, taking a look at gold. Gold here, you can see we still have a little bit more sideways consolidation. Gold has got the positive cycle skew. Gold has turned into a bull market, meaning when the cycle here bottoms and moves to the upside, we see gold also rally and move up strong. And then when we see the cycles sell off and go down this intermediate cycle, what we see here is actually just gold more or less consolidate in a sideways formation. So instead of selling off, it's holding its ground, obviously choppy and a little more unpredictable, but it holds its ground and consolidates. And what we've seen here, let me just redraw a fresh chart here. We've got this next move to the upside. You can argue where this is. Either way, we've got the cycles moving up here, and now they're kind of losing their momentum. They're getting a little toppy, and we've been seeing gold kind of consolidate sideways here. And if we do get this next cycle to the downside, we may just continue to see gold consolidate and chop around in a big way and build a big platform, a big cup and handle formation going way back in the chart, which this would be potential big handle. And then we've kind of got this cup down and goes back down, and back in time it'll come way back up. So this would be the cup and handle formation. A break here would be huge. Cup and handle formations, you can see them run 100% move from the lows to the high of the handle. You can also see it move 400% times the depth of the cup. So there's big potential for gold and silver and miners in general going forward. And the fact that we've got positive cycle skew when these cycles are moving down, we see gold just continue to trade sideways and hold its ground. That's a very good sign. If as long as it can keep doing that, I think we're going to see a big break to the upside in due time, bust through the 1400 level and continue to go higher. Looking at bonds very similar to gold in terms of cycle skew. We have got the cycle had a big move up. We saw bonds have a huge run up. And then during this big down cycle in bonds, all the way over here, what we've seen are simply bonds more or less pull back a bit and consolidate in this range. And of course, the next market cycle bottom here, where the cycles, whoops, ran to the upside, we saw a huge move back up in bonds. And now bonds are in that consolidation, that contraction phase, and bonds are holding tight, moving sideways, consolidating, building another platform just like we saw over here for when this cycle over here bottoms. Eventually we'll see, hopefully, bonds just continue to consolidate, maybe work themselves back up here, and then eventually break out and have a significant run higher. So overall, this week we're looking at slightly higher equities. We're looking at gold and silver and bonds to have a little bit of downward pressure, which coincides well with what we're seeing with the equity cycles, or kind of inverse relationship. And then we might see the safe havens actually have a little bit of a squeeze up, start to move up, maybe make some new multi-year highs. And then we might see it consolidate based on the analysis. But again, if the equities market has a big breakdown, let me go back to the cycles here. If the SP 500 actually has a much larger breakdown, you can see how we've had the cycles going forward here. We've got a sell-off and then a bounce, another sell-off and a bounce, another pullback. We could see a lot of downward pressure for a long time. This is, if you look at this cursor down at the bottom, it is showing 9/8, so September 8th. Potentially we might not have a cycle low over here till October 13th, so several months here of downward pressure, and this could just end up being a little bit of a pause or bear flag in the market, where we see the SP 500 potentially start to roll over here and start to move down and then form some type of consolidation, tries to hold its ground, and then of course goes into some washout panic low back down to the significant low that we saw back in June, and potentially even further down from there. So we'll see how that kind of unfolds going forward. Hopefully that helps. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.